And I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And this is a tremendous show of appreciation for Stacey, and it'll be well received, I believe, when we get to the families. Tonight we have with us Will D'Arcangelo, who's the pastor of the First Parish Church in Fitchburg, and he's been kind enough to come and give us an opening, closing prayer. And so, Will, I'm going to put you on spotlight, and you're on.
Greetings, everyone. Today, it's an honor and a sadness to honor the life of Stacey Fenton, someone who has meant so much to the community of Fitchburg, and so many people have been touched by the love that she has shared with us all through her service and dedication to our community. It's a great honor to have this opportunity to speak on her behalf for us all. And so for a moment, I'd like us to hold Stacey and her family in prayer. Gracious Spirit, thank you for the opportunity to be together under such challenging circumstances to honor the life of someone who meant so much to this community. We only hope that your grace will allow her family to be as at peace as possible in this difficult time and without the benefit of having friends and loved ones around us. Please guide us in our words and help us to express our feelings in the truest way possible for Stacey at this time. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Will.
Now, Joe, I'll pass it over to you.
And great, thank you. So now we're going to move over to Simone. Simone has a few words she would like to say. Whenever you're ready, Simone.
Well, yeah, Stacey is a brand new friend, but I have more than a few words. I'm going to try to be as brief as I possibly can, but I sat down and thought about a lot of things that we had done. I met her only in July of 2019 at a community steward training, and she asked me about I convene a group called the Tar Heel Women, an activist group, and she asked me about it. And I told her we meet once a month, and I invited her, and by golly, in August she was here. She didn't just attend a meeting, she was a presence. She brought the fire and passion that I loved so much when I first met her right to our meetings. I remember when she was trying to get people to join the Unitil, reaction to the Unitil increases. She invited me to be a part of that because she was concerned about my being able to afford the increases. When she learned that I didn't drive, she told me, call me anytime. Honestly, I'm not doing anything. I can pick you up. And you know what? I knew from the beginning that she meant that. And outside a member of my family, Stacey was the only person who would drive up to the front of my house, get out of her car from the driver's seat, come around to the passenger side, and not only open the door for me, but give me a hug before I got into the car. We worked together at Rock the Block in the fall at Fitchburg State, a program where the college introduces the students to the clubs and community projects as well. So we represented New View communities, and with Francisco. I sat at the table registering voters. She went out with her clipboard on the campus registering voters. We met a few times for breakfast. The plan was that we would go every week, but it wasn't always possible because of the way she was feeling. In late February, she was one of 3 Tar Heel women. We were registering voters at the Fitchburg Public Library. And then we had another library function scheduled for March, but she wasn't feeling well enough to attend. And so she brought me her bag of materials for registering voters, and I still have it. By mid-March, she would sometimes return my calls and sometimes not. But I guess I just didn't want to accept how sick she was, so I just kept calling and hoping that she would return them. And then on April 11th, Francisco called me, and I cried. I was sad for her because she was taken away from us much too soon. I was sad for me because I hardly get a chance to know her. And I was definitely very sad, most of all, for her son, Thomas, the light of her life. I recall meeting you, Thomas, at the New View Steward graduation and at the Fitchburg Art Museum. I'd only heard about you until that time, but I knew that from the beginning that I had heard about you, that you were her pride and joy, and I am sure you still are. I have a mash of 2 poems by unknown authors that, if I may, I'd like to read because it kind of helps me to understand why I met Stacey. People come into your path for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. When someone is in your life for a reason, it is usually to meet a need you have expressed. They have come to assist you through a difficulty, to provide you with guidance and support, to aid you in physically, emotionally, or spiritually. They may seem like they are a godsend, and they are. They are there for the reason you need them to be. Then, without any wrongdoing on your part, or at an inconvenient time, this person will say or do something to bring the relationship to an end. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they walk away. Sometimes they act up and force you to take a stand. What we must realize is that our need has been met, our desire fulfilled. Their work is done. Some people come into our lives and quietly go. Some people move our souls to dance. They awaken us to new understandings with the passing whispers of their wisdom. Some people make the sky more beautiful to gaze upon. They leave footprints on our hearts, and we are never, ever the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Next up will be Will Cortesio. Will, I'm putting you on spotlight.
Thank you.
We're ready when you are.
I want to be brief. I just want to share 2 things about our friend. I met her in the public education stewardship, and then I was fortunate enough to have her in the Resident Leadership Institute as one of the graduates of cohort 2. And like Simone said, you know, she wouldn't show up. She was a presence. And we hit it off from the first time we met, talking about New York, her background from New York, and my port of entering the United States was through New York, and our military background as well. And we instantly became friends. And one thing that amazed me about her is when she found out that I too had a similar bout with cancer, she started checking on me every day. And she would check, how you doing, buddy, keep up. And the thing that was amazing was, you know, I was able to recuperate, and she would tell me to keep my head up and to be strong. And you would look at her and you would see that she was hurting. You'd see that she was sick. And she took the time to ask how I was doing and how my treatment was going and if I needed anything. So that I'll be forever grateful. And lastly, I want to leave this specifically for Thomas. As Simone said, you are her pride and joy. If you stayed with her for more than a few minutes, she would bring Thomas up and talk about Tom. And you are very loved by her. We started having meetings at the Strong Style Cafe, and she just wanted to talk about him and say what was going on in school and if I could assist in some way as a guide, because she was concerned that he needed a male presence. And so I just want to say to Thomas, you know, your mom cares about you, always did, and you are her pride and joy. And the best thing you can do, son, is honor your mom every day by being the great man she always intended you to be. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Will. Next up is Kathleen. I'm putting you on spotlight here. Ready when you are.
Thanks. That looks great. Thank you, Simone and Will, for sharing, and for everybody else who's going to share today as well, because as with many of us, I only knew Stacey for a short period of time, so it's good for me to hear the wonderful impact that she has had on everybody as well. I did write something because I know if I didn't, I would lose my train of thought, so I will just read that for you. I didn't know Stacey for nearly as long as I wish I had, but when we were in a room together, it was like we had known each other for years. In all of my years of working in the community and connecting with a wide array of people, Stacey was the kind of personality that really stood out. She was someone who could make a lifelong impact for you after just being in a room with you for 5 minutes. This is a quality that not only made her a super mom, but also a super friend and a super community advocate. Her passion for Informed Fitchburg was unlike anything I've ever seen. Aside from being a mother to Tom, Stacey basically ate, slept, and breathed public education stewards and Informed Fitchburg. I always looked forward to our lively conversations, not only about our experiences, but what we were going to do to improve those experiences for more people in the future. I'll never forget the day that she called me to tell me that she was sick again, and we cried together. And in all of her worries, she wanted to tell me how great I was and encourage me to keep pushing forward in life. And I will be forever thankful for the encouragement and empowerment that she brought into my life each and every day. As we mourn the loss of Stacey, I remember one of the last things she asked me to do was help her to make a photo and video montage that she could leave for her son Tom for when he turned 21. Unfortunately, we did not get the time to do that together, and I hope that this video will help him find peace with the passing of his mother, one of the most kind, caring, compassionate, strong-willed women we all had the pleasure of knowing. I would like to share a small poem as well. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not here to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you loved me as much as I love you, and each time you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. When tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Kathleen. Meredith, we're ready when you are.
Yeah. So just hearing these stories really emphasize my biggest, the most important thing I can remember about Stacey is her thoughtfulness. And there's a quote in a book called An Essential Guide to Life that says, "One rule of conduct that has served me well is I don't make an important decision until my heart and my head are both in agreement." And I feel like that just is the epitome of how Stacey lived her life. She was such a thoughtful person. And I have these just little memories of, she would see me, I often have my kids at meetings in the evenings, and she would see me sort of struggling with what all parents struggle with, toddlers, and she would say, "Oh, you know, I saw that you had a challenge," and she would email me an article about, you know, raising toddlers, and that was on her own time and making her own personal connection. And so for the community to lose a leader whose heart and whose mind came together to make this world a better place is a true loss, and we'll miss her. That's all.
Thank you, Meredith. Mark, we're ready when you are.
Sure. Thank you all. I'm so sad to be here today. I will say that I feel lucky, and I know that the UV was really lucky to have Stacey with us. We first met when Francisco helped start the Public Education Stewards, and I remember meeting Stacey at those meetings and just being so impressed with her. She was, some of the words that other people have used, but she was a real rock for us, and she was a real leader among all the community stewards. And she was just a model and a real spark of inspiration for all of us to help make the world better, particularly for kids, particularly through the schools. And she was just such a force of nature. And it feels so unfair that we lost her so early. So I will be thinking of her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Mackie. Putting you on spotlight now. We're ready when you are.
Hi, everybody. I would just like to say a few words on behalf of the Fitchburg Public Schools. We were lucky enough to meet Stacey this fall, and like everybody says, just meeting her, you knew right away she had this enormous passion for students, and her kind-hearted spirit was just, you know, relevant for all of us as soon as we met her. And because of her, in her pursuit for collaboration between the community and the school department, changes began to happen. And she really was responsible for establishing the bond between the community and the school department this year. And for that, we'll forever be grateful because change has happened and it will continue to happen. And I will always remember her voice, and it always echoes in the back of my mind saying, you know what, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. So for that, we will forever be thankful for, and she'll be with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mackie. Next up is Francisco. We're ready when you are.
Thank you, Joe. I met Stacey after a referral by Joe. Joe talked to Stacey about our steward program, and she contacted me. And we decided to meet at Strong Style Coffee. And that first impression of Stacey stood with me, stays with me still. You know, this proud woman from Brooklyn. And she would always make that reference that she was from Brooklyn. She relayed in that first meeting her story, having Tom, a child with Asperger's syndrome, and we connected in that way, you know, with my daughter having Asperger's syndrome. And she related that story to me about her struggle to find a place for Tom in the public schools, and very passionate about it. And I remember coming out of that meeting, and I went into my office and I looked her up, and I found this article at the Sentinel that mentioned her, you know, an old article from years ago, who narrating this story about meeting with the public schools. And then it said, and this parent, this woman stood up and said this and said that, and that was Stacey. That was Stacey very much. And I came to, you know, admire her because she really understood what we were doing, and she really understood it right away. So right away she jumped and she took the community steward training, and then the public education steward training. She jumped into the two of them, and right away she understood that it was not only, the issue was not only graduating from a training, that it was getting to know other stewards. And so she became, from graduating from a training, she became a trainer, and she started, you know, training others, and then she started going to graduations. Many of you met her at graduations, handing out certificates, and because she understood that it was not one single issue, but it was building a community up, and you know, she was very happy to see that she had found keen souls with whom to struggle together. She would tell the story all the time about Tom, about finally giving up and moving him out of the school district and placing him at Parker. But she was very happy to come back to the struggle with people that she knew, thought, and felt like she did. And another quality that I saw and I found in Stacey was the fact that she was such a strong woman. She was tough as nails, but she also knew how to be soft and caring and gentle. And so she knew the balance between being strong and being gentle. And that is very nice to see in a person, that you know how to stay your ground, but you also know when to be soft and accompany others. And she did that. She did that with many people. I also remember the day when she came to me very happy because she had won full custody of Tom, and she was super happy. That was something that was heavy on her heart, and she was very happy when she did it, not long before she passed away. But she called me and let me know that she had won full custody, and so I'm happy. I'm sure that Tom is in a good place with people that know him, that are taking care of him, and I hope that Tom knows that her mom was appreciated by many, and that she helped many. She was part of this. This movement was close to her heart, and we miss her. She was a presence, as Simone says. She was a powerful woman that we lost along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Thomas, I'm putting you on spotlight now, and we're ready when you are.
Hi. So I don't have a lot to say because I didn't really know Stacey all that well for that long, but she's someone that I would have wanted to know a lot better and have spent a lot more time with. When I heard the news from Francisco about Stacey's passing, it shook me pretty hard. It was quite a shock. And what I want to say is that the impact Stacey left on me is that I think the major highlight is just that the little moments counted, just the brief moments of time that people spent with her made them feel important because she put others in front of herself, and she made them feel like they were an important center figure, even if she was talking about someone else. I think that it's one of the qualities that showed how Stacey embodied a real leader in the world, someone that I think we would want to see a lot more of. Stacey was very inviting, welcoming, and generous, and I think it really shows that through the actions that she go through and how much she wanted to connect with all of us. I first really got to know more about Stacey when we served in the Resident Leadership Institute, Cohort 3, and Stacey shared a lot about some of the major highlights of her life story. And through that, I got to learn a little bit about Thomas, her son, and how much he really meant to her, and you could really tell through the story she talked about that he was such an important person in her life, and that she did so much for him. I also got to know more about what Stacey's goals were to help improve the community when we served on the community organizing committee together. And I would have loved to spend more time with Stacey there, but unfortunately this, all came to be. But I'm glad that we're all here together to honor the memory of someone that I think we all really would have liked to spend more time with. I think that's all I can really say right now.
Thank you, Thomas. So, folks, at this point in time, we've exhausted the list of those who are interested in signing up at the start. If there is anyone else here who's interested in saying a few words, you are welcome to do so at this time. I'm going to unmute everybody, and please speak up if you're interested, and I will give you that opportunity. Okay, it seems there is no one else interested in speaking at this time, so I'm going to mute you all again. Oh, was there someone about to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say that. I just want to say I didn't know if, I was ready to talk because this is really hard for me. She was a very good friend, and she was my mentor. I'm never gonna forget all the things that she did for me. She trusts me like no one. And I remember that when we were taking the classes with Will, she used to stay outside with my kids because she wants me to learn. And we're gonna keep fighting with Informed Fitchburg because I wanna honor her with that. I'm gonna try my best, and I'm pretty sure that we are gonna reach our goal. We're gonna change a lot of things in the city, and I just want to say to Tom that she loved him so much, and I'm happy that she chose me as a friend. We were friends, and well, I think that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I have a couple things to say. As long as I can maintain my composure, we'll continue, and then we'll turn it over to Will for a closing prayer. We sort of met in a comical way, Stacey and I, in that I helped provide her with burglary tools so she could get into her locked shed in her backyard. And I had done that. I was contacted by a mutual friend of ours, Brandy, who she was actually the one who was delivering the news to us about Stacey's condition. And I'm really grateful to have had that time to get to know her and help work towards making the community a better place. And I have a lot more to say, but I don't think I can make it. So I'm going to end it here. And Will, I'm going to put you on spotlight, and you can take us to the closing prayer.
I'd like to say something.
Oh, who is that? Evelina?
Yes.
Okay, you got it, Evelina. I'm going to put you on spotlight right now.
All right. I met Stacey in the summer. I took the community stewards, and she came in late, and she's like, "I'm so sorry." And then we got to know each other more when we did public educational steward, and we spoke about how we're both from Brooklyn. and how she emphasized New York, and we used to talk about New York, and that's how we connected. So we exchanged numbers, and she used to call me, and we'll have conversation about her son, and just talking about how we can, things we can do in the city, what can we do with my background of education. And she's like, we can do this, we could collaborate, and she would go on and on and on. And then, so one day we actually were just talking about how we can get out there in the streets and do it like we used to do in New York. She would just make me laugh. And I was just like, what are you talking about? She's like, we got to get out there. We have to get the voters to vote, and let's do it. So one day I wasn't working, and I called her up, and she's like, it has to be after the sun goes down, and then we can get together. So we did. We got together twice. We went door to door, knocking on doors and having people to get together to vote, and it was just, and all the time that, you know, she was just so passionate about what she did and what she wanted to do with the city. And she just, you know, what's funny is that we all come from different places, and we love Fitchburg. She came from New York, I came from New York. And every time I collaborate with people, they come from another city or another state. And it's just, and the passion that we have for the city, and just wanting to, and we see so much and what's possible in this great city that we live in. And it's just, she was just amazing. And, you know, she would call me at nights and be like, oh, I'm having things about my son, and what can you tell me? And we try to like talk about things and how she can do better with her son and try to get him more active. And so she finally, she changed him from schools, and I did find out, she called me when she got full custody of him too. And it's just the passion of education that she had. And you know, that's our passion. And this is why we Inform Fitchburg is a huge part. And I thank God that, you know, we got the opportunity to meet Stacey.
Thank you, Evelina. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Actually, I have Monica. Monica has asked to speak, so I'm going to put her on right now. And Monica, okay, you're already unmuted. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I've had a really bad connection through most of this, so I've been getting bits and pieces of what everybody's been saying. And I honestly did not know Stacey that well, but just seeing so many people come together in one place and hearing everyone's such profound stories is just really touching to me. And I just wanted to recite this affirmation that I say every morning in hopes that it will kind of help everyone with whatever they're feeling right now, because from what I'm hearing, from what you're all telling me, it just really sounds like something that Stacey believed in, and it sounds like the reason that we're all here. And it's an affirmation of community, and it goes like this. We will be together. We will stand as brothers and sisters. We are all in this together. We will look out for one another. We will listen to what needs to be said in a spirit of compassion, and we will respect the power of silence. We will wait for the slowest, and we will sooner or later catch up with the fastest. We will dry the tears of those who are weeping, and we know that they will dry ours when the time comes. We will let ourselves begin to feel at least a little bit of the pain of those that we have considered our enemies. We will not be skeptical that peace can come. We will not forget the joy of life. We will not forget to be grateful, and we will do our best to stir in each other hope, courage, and faith. That's it. I hope that helps everybody. And I'm here for you all, and I feel very blessed that we all get to be touched by Stacey.
Thank you, Monica. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Looks like everyone has spoken who wishes to speak will, so I'll put the spotlight back on you. We're ready.
Well, a lot of people come and go in our lives, but very few have the capacity or talent or compassion to show us the true potential in ourselves or our community. And if there's anything that it seems to me that I've heard about Stacey in the past as well as now, it's that she had that magical ability to help the scales fall from our eyes in seeing what we're truly capable of. Not only just with love, but with imagination and with compassion and with empowerment and growth and knowledge and creativity and willingness. Above all, willingness. So few people are truly willing to get involved up to the elbows when it's really called for. But it appears Stacey was just that type. And so I'd like us to pray now for her and for her family. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this gentle and loving spotlight that we have placed on this individual soul right now in these few minutes we've had together to do so. May we remember that what truly makes a legacy most is not the love that we shared while they were here, but what they taught us about who we are and what we're truly capable of. And may that beautiful and loving lesson shine forth in every action we ever undertake for the rest of our own times here on this planet. The best and most loving thing we can do in Stacey's memory is to recognize what she would have us do and do just that. Thank you for your gift to us all, Stacey. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Will. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight in celebration of Stacey. And hope you all have a good night.
God bless.
We will be together. We will stand as brothers and sisters. We are all in this together. We will watch out for one another. We will listen to what needs to be said in a spirit of compassion. We will respect the power of silence. We will wait for the slowest, and we will sooner or later catch up with the fastest. We will dry the tears of those who are weeping, and we know that they will dry ours when the time comes. We will let ourselves begin to feel at least a little bit of the pain of those that we have considered our enemies. We will entrust our stories to each other. We will not be skeptical that peace can come. We will not forget the joy of life. We will not forget to be grateful. And we will do our best to stir in each other faith, courage, and hope.